In this video, I'm going to go over all the tips that I have to quickly take your creative project to the next level. Now, I've got a number of tips here that I've learned and integrated over the last 15 years of creating, studying business and creativity books, and also, just aggressively being involved in self-development and all sorts of podcasts and like 10 different creative projects as well. So let's get straight into it. These are the things that have really helped me become successful as a creator. So the first thing is to front load the pain. Now, there's a bunch of different ways that you can do this, but I'm going to use a music analogy in this video because I've been producing music for over 10 years, right? So a couple of ways that I front load the pain is to just get the hard part out of the way first or before you're even in the project. So having a template set up for my music production is a really good example of front loading the pain, right? So I have this template and I refine it all the time, right? And it's got everything you could possibly need, every effect, every instrument that I use quickly, a bunch of different drum samples that I can just quickly go to and jump in and crush out a track, right? So that when I feel creative, when I jump into a project and I want to start something new, it's all there for me. It's so easy because a lot of the barriers to entry have been removed, right? And that's a huge, huge part of it is just like, if you can front load the pain by taking away things like that, which make it harder to create, which is kind of a secondary tip, is to reduce as many barriers as you can, then that is going to obviously take your creative project to the next level very quickly, right? So another example of front loading the pain is just getting the hard thing out of the way first. Oftentimes you'll jump into a project, you've got to do a bunch of different things, and actually your mind tries to make up that the hard thing is actually way harder than it actually is, right? But if you just decide, no, I'm going to do this now, I'm going to focus on it, I'm going to get it out of the way, whether it's like recording vocals or getting an instrument track down that is going to be hard, making all the MIDI, like putting all the MIDI in a right particular spot that you need it to be in. It can be tough and it can be annoying, but it's actually easier than you think it is. So just jump in, get it out of the way, get it done. And that's going to, again, take your creative project to the next level because you've just done the hard thing first. And then all the easy stuff comes after that, all the fun stuff, right? Because there's always going to be stuff in anything you do that you don't love, right? So that's my first tip with a cheeky secondary tip in there. The second tip, which is probably the biggest one for me, is just create quickly, right? In my time, I think I counted the other day when I released a track when I was doing some marketing, I think I've released like 150 songs, maybe even 160. I'd love to find the number for you, but anyway. But in that time, I've created 400 different projects, 400, right? And I could go back right now and count you 100 that I would love to have finished and released. But because I sat on it for too long, it never got finished. You know what I'm saying? And so this is what I found for myself is that it's like when you're listening or watching something over and over again, it's a little bit, how do I say? You're just kind of like making yourself feel good by looking at your own art over and over again. And don't get me wrong, it does feel really good. But if you can put that to the side as quickly as you can and you just focus on the fact that it's like, cool, this is a good idea. I know this is a good idea. Get it finished as quickly as I can, right? Otherwise, you just listen to it and listen to it and listen to it and watch it and watch it and listen to it and watch it and listen to it, and you will hate it. And if you're an artist with any experience, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about because you end up hating it very quickly. And so if I start a song and I'm like, I like this, I try and finish a song that week, And when I say finish, I mean get it to the 80, 90% mark. And the rest of the tiny little percents, that will come later, right? Doing all these extra little things, making sure the mix is right, sending it to friends, getting feedback, doing all these things, that does take time. But if you get to the point where you're stoked on it and it's finished close enough, it's just going to be that much easier to actually finish things quickly because you're passionate about it now. So lean into that. Lean into, I'm passionate about this right now. Like keep it rolling while you've got that going. And you're going to finish more projects. You're going to get more projects out. It's going to make you better at the whole discipline of doing the whole cycle of creating. And also secondary tip to that is like have the self-awareness when a project isn't worth finishing. Because if you start something and you start it quickly, this is a part of also creating quickly, is that a lot of the time I'll jump into a project, create an 8-bar loop, and I'll be like, okay, cool. Sounds kind of cool. I like the key that it's in. I'm going to jump over here in the same project, make it like just vibe again, make another thing. Okay, cool. Sounds pretty cool. I like the key that it's in still. I like the vibe that I'm kind of on. Jump over here, same project, do the same thing. And then the third time you're like, that's the one. That's the idea, Then you lean into that. And that's also the part of like creating quickly. So if you don't get attached to your ideas too quickly, you're just doing, rather than thinking about it, or rather than making something and be like, it sounds pretty cool, and then just leaning into it hard, have the self-awareness, step back and be like, all right, what do I really like about this? The vibe of it, the key of it, or like the look of this shot, right? Cool, let's shoot another thing, or let's make another thing quickly. And then you compare it to that and you go, oh, okay, cool. The idea is starting to refine itself. It's starting to mature. It's starting to, the cheese is getting older and finer, I don't know why I just introduced a cheese analogy. Kill me. But yeah, that's something that's also been extremely effective for me in terms of creating quickly, because you can have the awareness and you can just scrap ideas that you don't like, or you don't spend too much time on ideas that aren't actually the ones. You know what I'm saying? So that comes into like the next step, which is momentum as well. So if you're creating quickly, you front loaded the pain, all of the barriers to entry are gone. And then you have this momentum, i.e. you're creating every day and, creating for a minute or 5 minutes or 10 minutes every day. Because that's another barrier to entry, is that you're like, oh my God, I've got to create. Oh my God, I've just worked a 12-hour day. It's like, I know. Okay. I run a creative business and it takes 12-hour days, sometimes every day, right? It's hectic. And I'm like, oh, I don't have time to create. I don't, you know what I mean? And I'm out here on a Saturday morning shooting this when I could be doing my groceries and doing my cooking. But I make time and I do it quickly and I have ideas and I just jump straight into it and I build momentum, right? And momentum is huge because, yeah, if you're doing it consistently all the time, you're in the habit of doing it over and over again, it's going to feel normal to you. It's not going to feel like hard work. It's not going to feel like so much to do it. And if these barriers for entry are lower, whenever you have an idea, just jot it down, pop it in your Notion if you use Notion. And if you want my Notion template for, how to live your dream life, feel free to check the link in the bio. There's a full course in there and it's literally, I think it's $29. It's ridiculous. And in American dollars, that's like $4 because the Australian dollar sucks. So check it out. But yeah, using momentum has been very effective for me as well. And as a creative, you'll know that you get into creative ruts sometimes, and there's ups and downs of creativity. And a lot of the time, you can be in the down for a long time. But then you just create a couple of pieces of tiny content or one quick song, or you listen to a song that inspires you and just jump in, you dip your toes in, spend 1 minute, 10 minutes creating, an hour creating. You reduce that barrier, you challenge your thinking. You go, oh my God, I actually love this. This is amazing. And you're like, yeah, of course you do. You're a creator, right? You're a creative person. Of course you love creating. And all the content consumption and, bad food and poor habits and, just like your mind trying to protect you, telling you not to do the thing is all in the way. And then when you push that to the side for a second, you just go, no, I'm just going to jump in for a minute, see what happens. Just pick up the camera for a second, see what happens. And you start shooting, you're like, oh my God, I love this thing. You're like, yeah. So that's why momentum's so important for me, is that if you're doing it every day, it's a reminder every day that it's like, this is something that I do. First of all, like I've decided I'm a creative person who creates, so I do it every day. But it's also a constant reminder that it's just like, you enjoy this thing, remember, and it keeps you sane, So that's huge. Another thing is timers. And if you'll notice, I'm focused on a lot of like efficiency stuff here. But using timers is also very effective because, again, back to music, I'll go, you know what? Or like with videos, I'm like, cool, I'm going to shoot this video in 10 minutes. And the timer, I'm just looking at my little watch over there. We're almost at the 10-minute mark and I've got another tip after this. But yeah, with music, it's like, cool, I want to make a chord progression and I want like a synth that kind of sounds like Flume. All right, make that synth in 30 minutes. Make how that sounds in 10 minutes. And you set a timer and it's ticking away in front of you. And you're like, boom. And your mind is just like on the task all the time. Think of an escape room. You ever done one of those? When you're in there, you're frantic because your mind's like, I've only got a period of time, But if you're in an escape room, they're like, yeah, escape over the next 24 hours. We'll deliver your food whenever you want. You'd be like, all right, kick back. Let's just chill, But but you don't. Your mind's frantic because it has a time limit. So this is really, really effective because it just keeps you accountable. Again, it keeps you moving, keeps this momentum going. And because if you're a producer as well, you know more than anyone that you could spend 8 hours on making a kick sound, and then the next day you wake up and you hate it. So that's why it's like, just move quickly, be like, cool, get the idea down as quick as you can. You know, oh, you want to start doing like mixing stuff? You want to start doing technical stuff? Nope, you're not allowed to do that. You know, implement rules like this. That's like, cool, do that later, you know? And instead just, focus on using timers for all these little things. Because then, again, when I do this, I often find that it's like, not only do you get it done that much quicker, but then also you're left having so much time you don't even know what to do with yourself because you've used timers to get your stuff done. And then obviously you can't like rush creativity. If it doesn't work in that time, it doesn't work. And that's all good. You don't have to be hard on yourself. But I find that it does work for me. It's worth trying at least. All right, and the last tip that I have, which has been very effective to quickly take your creative project to the next level, is to stop in the middle of a passionate streak. And this is from a book, and I've read so many creative books that I don't remember exactly which one it is. It could be. Anyway, I'm going to try and pop it up on screen if I can find it for you. But stopping in the middle of a passionate streak is also really effective because, you know, let's say I'm producing music. It's getting to my bedtime. I need to go to sleep because I've got to get up, go to the gym the next day. I'm like, all right, cool. This idea is really cool. And you want to spend the next hour on it. But I'm like, oh, I think I know. I want to do this, this, and this. It's like, yeah, you can write that down for sure. But save the project, quit out of it, head to bed. Because in your mind, it's thinking about it. While you're asleep, it's processing that thing. And you wake up and you're like, oh, I've got that project. Can't wait to listen to it again. I can't wait to do those changes again. And when you jump straight back into it, you're back in the passion of it. You don't have to build that momentum again. You just open the project and you're ready to do all these things. And then you end up working on it for 3 hours and you do so much more of it, which again is huge in terms of, creating quickly. Because if you like get an idea down late at night, you go, cool, spend an hour on it. Oh my God, this is going to be amazing. You're like, cool, save it, quit out of it, go to bed. It's really hard to do sometimes if you're really keen to crush it. But then, you wake up the next day and then you end up finishing the track in 2 days, 3 days. It's ready to go, because you've just kept passionate about it the whole time. Oftentimes during the day, I'm just like, damn, can't wait to go home and work on that track, So these are my 5 to 7 to 8 tips. I don't know how many there were in terms of quickly taking your creative project to the next level. Let me know if I've missed any, like any that hit for you in particular or any that work for you that I didn't mention. I'd love to know. But hopefully you got some value out of this, and I'll see you in the next video.